Good day, all. This is Varun Gupta, a watercolor artist based in New Zealand. You can find more details about myself and my paintings at www.varunguptaart.com. Details are in the description of this video as well. I will share few watercolor tips, story behind the subject, paint, brushes, and watercolor paper that I have used. Enjoy watching and don't forget to subscribe the channel. Thank you again.
Welcome back, guys. In this second video, I'll start with the another landscape of the countryside that I've visited at Palmerston North. I've started with uh, uh, spreading the water, the mopping the paper with a small brush uh, before I apply water color on that. So right now I'm applying the color ultramarine blue and some of the violet from Camlin, using my Hake brush to spread the color evenly on the surface, which is a wet surface. So right now I'm doing wet on wet, spreading the color and now taking a little bit color out of the paper with the dry or damp brush. It's not that wet, but it's easy practice that you take out the water color from the surface, which is wet. So if it dries out, you won't be able to. Um, Giving some patterns again to the cloud surface here to make it more meaningful, so that the cloud looks would look like uh, a prominent pattern, will have a prominent pattern. Spreading the green color over here, and in this right now I'm just trying to cover the far side of the scene. And so in this again, I'm just trying to cover the land with some of the mud and the grass. So for grass, I have used Viridian Hue from Reeves. The another color which I have mixed with Viridian Hue is Sap Green, which is much brighter and has got uh, lighter pigments of green color. Just giving a little bit of reflection of sky on the water, the surface of the ground, a little bit mopping around with Hake. My Hake brush is from Gordon Harris, and that's a art shop in Wellington, New Zealand, and it's really good brush that holds lots of water. Right now in the scene, I'm just trying to cover up some of the background, some of the basic, the first layer of the color to highlight the um, surface, which has got some of the grass, some of the muddy area. So, I mean, as an story of this painting is that I shared in my first video as well, that I visited Palmerston North, um, which is a town not very far from Wellington City. Uh, and I stayed over the weekend over there, and I found this scene, this countryside scene, and it attracted me to have a painting about it, painting on that. And right now in the painting, I'm just trying to cover the grass. And with a mix of green shades, different values of that. In the mix, I have just used the burnt sienna to give more impression about the mud where the grass is not grown on the surface. Trying to highlight a little bit more and spraying uh, water on the wet. So it gives a texture. It gives a uh, impression that there is a reflection of that mud on the water. um, and at times, I mean, If you wonder that what color I have used for blue, then it is a mix of French ultramarine and phthalo blue from Reeves. So French ultramarine is from Camel. So I've been using mix of colors in this in my previous paintings and as well in this from different watercolor brands. I find these colors reasonably good, and it's not expensive. Um, so if you are starting your watercolor painting, then I would recommend to use these colors. These are having really good shades and the pigments in them. Some of the section is cut or truncated when I was recording. Sorry about that. But what I'm right now trying to highlight is taking off some of the color highlighted with green in the mix of brown and making some of the highlights of the grass with dark values, darker values, of covering far-sighted trees and um, um, far-sighted locations in the scenery, which is important. I mean, when you are making a landscape, you would try to cover as much as area in this single two-dimensional paper and try to make it give a feel of three-dimensional. Right now, I'm just trying to cover up huts and house with my gray shade from Camel, which is paint gray, and it is really good color, gray shade. When I used Reeves gray color, which is much darker in terms of pigment comparison to the Camel's paints gray. So right now I've just used paints gray from Camel. Some of the rolls or big uh, 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 round boxes were there of wires in the field. Some of the equipments were lying there from the farming perspective in that land. So just trying to cover, give them a shade over there, trying to paint a far-sighted tree, um, and generally in the landscape when the things are very far, which you see as an impression, those are in lighter values than the things which are closer to, which have the darker values. So that you would keep in mind when you are drawing the perspective of the objects. Right now, trying to cover a little bit of muddy section um, in the in this area, and um, I mean, you can see a reflection on the foreground and the ground above the of the sky, the violet color and the ultramarine blue, a little shade of it. Fence is I've covered on the left side. Right now I'm trying to cover the tractor and a little bit, I think, boxes and buildings around that. Um, Figures are important, which I'm painting right now. It gives a life to the painting, as I mentioned in one of my previous video. It brings lots of activity and tells a story about the painting, that what what this painting is about and what people are doing. So it is important to capture figures uh, and objects around as much as you can. I mean, you don't want to clutter everything in your painting, don't want to put every detail, but as long as it is meaningful and makes sense, I would recommend to do that. a little bit of reflection of that tractor, reflection of the man and the um, water. When my paper is a little bit dry on this grain area, I would just try to give a fence. I'm just trying to draw a fence over there with darker values because it's much closer to my from the position from where I'm viewing it. So my viewpoint is um, closer to the fences, so it is much darker in this perspective. Uh, and you can relate that when you see this painting that okay, you are standing a little bit closer to the fences than the objects which are far behind. Trying to highlight some of the sections, grass and all that. Adding reflection is important in the water, and when it is still water, then it makes sense to add that as well. Won't do much in the reflection at this point. Just trying to add some of the muddy area with burnt umber and burnt sienna. Reflection of grass on the still water. Um, trying to cover the fences, some of the touch-ups on the still objects. It gives a reference that maybe there is a chimney on the top of the hut, lamp post, some of the wire post, uh, far-sighted dog over there, um, wire behind the fences. A little bit of impression. You don't want to draw everything which you see on your painting. Peeling off the masking tape. Scene was when I was taking this snap, it was not that sunny, so some of the reflection was light was reflecting off these fences and the bright surfaces. So just trying to highlight with that with pure white color. For white, I have used off and on um, Chinese white from Camlin and Winsor Newton's white, um, which is really impressive. In the foreground, just trying to give a highlight of white over there as the wild flowers on the grass. And there you go. Just signing it off. Uh, it's not that old painting. Recently I've drawn it, so you would enjoy. Hope you have enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can subscribe my channel. You can like my videos if you have learned anything out of it. Do you have? Should you have any questions, just feel free to write those questions. I'll get back to you. You can follow me on my Instagram, and you can visit my website, which is www.varungupta.art.com. So you can find the details about these things in the description of my video. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for giving me time on this, and hope you liked it.